In this exercise, we are going to start with this Photoshop document and we will create this animation. I'm gonna play it one more time. I go to After Effects, right click here, import file. I go to exercise 48. I select the Photoshop document and click on import. I'm not gonna change anything. Import kind composition, and here editable layer styles. Click on OK. I'm gonna double click on the composition. I open the composition, right click, composition settings, and I'm gonna change the duration to 13 seconds. Click on OK. I'm gonna zoom out here on the timeline. I'm gonna select all these layers and I'm gonna make all of them longer like this, 13 seconds. And now I'm gonna make all these layers 3D. So I go here, I click on all these layers and I'll make them 3D. I'm going to change the view, two views like this. I have top here. I'm going to select layer 3, the sky. I'm going to take it all the way here. Now I'm going to select layer 2. I'm going to take it here. Layer 1. I'm going to move it a little bit behind the cars like this, not much. I'm gonna select the car in front, the white car, and I'm gonna put it in front of the other cars like this level. The blue car, I'm gonna move it a little bit to the right like this. The red car, I'm gonna move it a little bit to the left like this. I'm gonna go back to the blue car. I'm gonna move it a little bit to the left like this. Now make sure this looks good. I'm gonna go back to the red car. I'm gonna move it a little bit to the left as well, like this. I think this looks good. I'm gonna click on fit. Now I'm gonna scale up layer 3, press S. I scale up layer 3 until it becomes bigger than the composition. Layer 2, S. I'm gonna scale this up as well, like this. And layer 1, S. I'm gonna scale it up just a little bit. Gonna use the arrows. I think in 105 is more than enough. And now all the layers are placed correctly. I'm gonna toggle everything up. I press L like this. Now I'm gonna create a camera. Right click, new camera, 2-node camera. Preset, I'm gonna choose 50 millimeters and click on OK. I'm not gonna change anything else. Like this. Now I have a camera right here. I'm gonna change the view to left like this. I'm gonna toggle this down, transform, toggle this down, and I'm gonna change the position of the camera. I'm gonna take it up like this. Take it up to this level. Now I'm gonna change the point of interest. like this. I change it like this. I'm gonna go down to layer 3 S. I'm gonna scale it up even more. I'm gonna scale the sky up until we don't see this black area, like this. I'm gonna do the same thing for layer 2 S. Bring the scale, and I'm gonna scale this up. I think this is big enough. I go to layer 1 S, and I'm gonna scale it up a little bit, like this, until it covers this part and this part. I think this is big enough. Now I'm gonna toggle this up, 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 and go back to camera 1. This is going to be the starting point. I'm gonna click on the stopwatch here of the position. Of course, make sure the playhead is at 0 seconds. Click on the stopwatch here of the position, and after 2 seconds, I'm gonna change the Y value. I'm gonna go down like this. Make the camera go down like this and go forward like this. I'm gonna change the Y value, go back to the Y value. Gonna go back a little bit on the Z axis. Y value, I'll go up a little bit. Like this. I think this looks good. This looks like 3D. I think this looks good. I think I'm gonna move the car a little bit. I'm gonna move the white car a little bit. Press P. And I'm gonna change the Z value a little bit. Like this. Put it in front of the others. And I'm gonna move it on the Y axis a little bit. Like this. Now let's play. Starts here. And then we end up here. I think I'm gonna move it a little bit to the right. Change the X value a little bit like this. Starts here and ends up here. I'm gonna scale the sky up even more. I'm gonna make it bigger. Go back to layer 3 S, and I'm gonna scale this up to 180%. Make sure there are no dark areas here. I think this looks good now. So it's a very simple movement. You can see it here. If I open this up, click on position, you can see the motion path. I can change the motion path if I want to. I can select one keyframe like this one and move it a little bit back like this. Now we get this animation, but we need to scale these up. I'm not gonna do that. Control Z to go back. I think this looks good. I'm gonna move it maybe a little bit to the back, just a little bit like this. Make sure we don't have a problem here, especially in the corners. I think I need to scale both of these up a little bit. Layer 2 S and layer 1 S. I increase this by a few points, and layer 2 as well by a few points, like this. Now let's see the animation. I think this is a good movement. I'm gonna deselect everything, Press L to toggle everything up. Now I'm gonna create a new camera. Right click, new camera, type 2-node camera and preset 50 millimeters. Okay, now I have camera 2. I'm gonna click here, change the view to top, like this, select camera 2, and I'm gonna move it on the Z axis, and on the X axis I want to focus on the red car only. I don't want to see any other car except for the red car, like this. I'm gonna change the point of interest. I'm gonna toggle this down, transform point of interest. I'm gonna move it up a little bit like this and have this composition. I think this looks good. Now I'm gonna move to 4 seconds. Click on the stopwatch of point of interest like this, create a keyframe. I'm gonna go back 1 second and I'm gonna change this value. I'm gonna take the camera up, take the point of interest up like this until we no longer see the car, like this. And now if I play, we get this movement. I think this looks good. Now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna shorten this camera layer. I'm gonna put the playhead right here and I'm gonna shorten the layer like this. I can press shift to make it snap. Now I'm gonna put the playhead right here at 5 seconds and shorten the layer on this side, press shift and make it snap. And now when the playhead is here, we see camera 1 and then we see camera 2 and back to camera 1. So the camera on top is always the one that we see in the video. And once this is over, we go to the camera below it. I'm gonna toggle this up. Now I'm gonna create a new camera, right click, new camera, same settings. I'm not gonna change anything. Click on OK and I'm gonna move this camera forward like this. I'll move the Z axis like this until we get this composition. Now I'm gonna toggle this down, transform, toggle this down. I'm gonna select position on its own without point of interest, and I'm gonna create a keyframe here. Click on the stopwatch. I'm gonna go back 1 second here and I'm gonna move using the values. I'm gonna move it to the left, move the camera to the left like this, to the left, and I'm gonna go forward by changing the Z axis like this and focus on this car only. I'm gonna go forward even more like this and put this car in the middle like this, and now we get this animation. We go from the blue car to the white car. That's the animation. And the good thing is that when we use the 2-node camera, we have the point of interest that doesn't change, so only the position of the camera is changing and the point of interest is always here, as you see. So from 6 seconds to 7 seconds, I want the camera to stay here for 1 second. I put the playhead right here. I create one keyframe. Now it stays for 1 second and then goes to the next car. I put the playhead right here at 9 seconds. Now I'm gonna move to the right like this. And I'm gonna zoom in using the Z value. I change the Z value like this. And make sure the car is in the middle. Let's see how this looks. We go from white car to the red car like this. I think this looks good. And you can see the movement of the camera right here. We went from this point to this point to this point. You can select the keyframe from here and you can modify the motion path if you want. You can always do that. Like this. I think this looks good. I'm gonna put the playhead at 10 seconds and I'm gonna shorten this camera layer. I'm gonna press shift and shorten this layer. I'm gonna do the same thing here. I'll put this at 5 seconds. And I shorten this layer, press shift and make it snap here. So now we start on camera 1, we move to camera 2, and then camera 3. We go from one car to the next like this, and we go back to camera 1. We see the 3 of them together like this. I think this looks good. I'm gonna deselect, press L to toggle everything up. I'm gonna press U to see all the keyframes. We have 2 keyframes here on camera 1. I'm gonna place the playhead right here at 10 seconds. I'm gonna select these 2 keyframes, Control C and Control V. I'm gonna paste them right here, Control V. Now I'm gonna right click, keyframe assistant, and click on time reverse keyframes. Now we get the opposite of the first animation. Instead of dolly in, we do a dolly out like this, and this effect looks nice. I'm gonna select all these keyframes like this, or I can simply click on position and select all the keyframes, and I'm gonna click on F9 to easy ease. Now I'm gonna go to the graph editor. I'm gonna select this point and take this handle all the way to the left. Now we get this animation, fast in the beginning and slow towards the end, like this. And here I'm gonna click on this point and drag this all the way to the right, start slow and then go fast, like this. Now I'm gonna play the entire animation. I go back to one view, gonna select fit. One last thing, I'm gonna select these keyframes, these 2 keyframes, F9 to easy ease. Go to the graph editor. I'm gonna click on this point and move this handle like this. Now we get this camera movement. I think this looks better. I'm gonna play the entire animation now. The exercise now is finished. You go do the same and don't forget to save.